Security operations understand and support investigations. Purpose of performing investigations is to gather facts so that an informed decision can be made. The output provided by an investigation is a collection of evidence, analysis, and documentation. Investigation process are: evidence collection and handling, reporting and documentation, investigative techniques, digital forensics tools, tactics, and procedures. Evidence collection and handling. Direct evidence is testimony from a witness who personally observed an event. A witness saying, "I saw that man walk out with my laptop," is direct evidence. Hearsay evidence is indirect or second-hand evidence. It is not useful in court but could be useful in an internal investigation because it could lead to the discovery of new facts and more tangible evidence. Other types of evidence are hard copy, photographs, and video recordings, event and traffic logs, and computer files and memory. Evidence can take physical forms such as media that contain data evidence, and physical forensic material such as blood, hair, and fingerprints. There are many industry standards related to the capture, collection, and preservation of digital evidence, from recognized standards bodies, government agencies, and vendors. ISO 27037 Information Technology Security Techniques Guidelines for Identification, Collection, Acquisition, and Preservation of Digital Evidence is designed. When collecting digital evidence, the analyst should make copies of the relevant volume or drive. This can be either a logical backup or a bit-level image. A logical backup only copies the directories and files of the volume. This means it's the easier and faster choice, but it doesn't capture deleted files or data remnants in the slack space. A bit-level image, by contrast, copies every sector byte and bit, making an exact copy of the entire drive. This includes deleted files and slack space, making it the necessary choice for material that needs to be submitted as evidence in court. There are many tools on the market specifically crafted for the purpose of capturing and collecting digital evidence, such as Encase, FTK Imager, and Macquisition. Computers' internal memory, RAM, can be relevant in an investigation. For example, a file that is encrypted on a hard drive may be unencrypted when being stored for use by the processor in the computer's RAM. Many tools exist to capture RAM, such as the Volatility Framework and Surge Collect. Original drives or media should be tagged as such and secured. One copy should be marked as the primary or best evidence copy, it should be secured, and no changes should be made to it. Perform all analysis of the data on a separate copy, never the original or the best evidence copy. To preserve the integrity of the files and prove that they haven't changed, analysts can use a write blocker and calculate message digests before and after the files were collected and copied. The chain of custody must be documented for the original or best evidence copy. Reporting and documentation. Evidence will be used to make determinations and decisions. For internal investigations, evidence will be used by management. For court cases, both criminal and civil, evidence will be used for court cases to make a judgment. Evidence and documentation provided to management need only have a professional and understandable format. Evidence provided to a court must meet a much higher standard and requires more extensive documentation for support. Each step taken to gather evidence and the methods should be documented. The evidence and documentation must be accurate. The evidence and documentation must be authentic. The evidence and documentation must be complete. The evidence and documentation must be convincing. The evidence and documentation must be admissible. Investigative techniques. Common investigative techniques are interviewing witnesses, surveillance, and forensics. Choose a private, non-threatening place for the interview, be respectful of the interviewee's time, and accommodate their schedule to the greatest extent possible. Remove distractions from the room and provide a comfortable seat. Do not conduct interviews with only 2 people present. Have at least 3 people in the room, and, if possible, record the conversation and make sure the subject knows it is being recorded. Allow the subject to have an attorney or other representation present. The subject must be allowed to terminate the interview or leave the premises at any time if they choose. Surveillance technique are direct human observation, photographic and video capture, audio monitoring, and IT logging. Digital forensics tools, techniques, and procedures. The organization needs to designate investigators and analysts with the proper training, expertise, and tools to perform digital forensics. Tools. Digital forensic analysts need an assortment of tools to collect and examine data. Different tools are necessary to be able to collect and examine both volatile and non-volatile data, to capture information from media, software, and hardware, and to craft meaningful reports from all the data collected and created during analysis. File viewers necessary to view files that have different formats, extensions, or compression types. Third-party registry analysis tools provide analysts with new ways to view and navigate registry values and changes. Debugging tools allow analysts to get more details than default reports or logs. Decompilers and binary analysis tools allow analysts to look inside executable programs, at the code level, and to find anomalies and malicious code. There are dedicated tools to extract data from a database. Specialized tools to analyze mobile devices for file changes and to find deleted files and messages. A drive imaging tool is to make an exact copy of a drive or piece of media. Network traffic is an important aspect of digital forensics. Capturing traffic from a sniffer, packet analysis tool, or network threat detection tool provides live session data. Log files are a critical element of analyzing the network aspects of a forensic investigation. Log files are found in many locations, including servers, firewalls, intrusion detection systems / intrusion prevention systems, and routers, and can provide significant insight into the events that transpired over networks. Video screen capture tool can be valuable for analysis purposes. The ability to capture real-time video can be used to document the steps taken on a forensic workstation. For example, techniques and procedures. Start with a standard process. Define priorities. Identify data sources. Make a plan to collect the data. Capture volatile data. Collect non-volatile data. Capture time details. Preserve and verify file integrity. Look for deleted or hidden data. Look at the big picture. Make no leaps. Security operations understand requirements for investigation types. The purpose of an investigation is to determine what happened and who is responsible and to collect evidence that supports this hypothesis. Investigation types are administrative investigations, criminal investigations, civil investigations, regulatory investigations, and industry standards investigations. In criminal law, government prosecutes a person, organization for violating a law to provide for the common safety and security of the public. In civil law, private entities seek resolution of conflict and compensation for losses. In religious law, an authority figure recognized by practitioners of a given faith interprets the implications of a religious text, makes decisions, and resolves conflicts based on this interpretation. In tribal law, leaders of a community, recognized by the members of that community, make binding decisions based on their wisdom and authority. Administrative investigations. Administrative investigations are conducted by local management in response to complaints or concerns that generally are personnel-related and non-criminal in nature. Administrative investigation may be initiated in response to a grievance or complaint, property misuse, damage, theft, misconduct, prohibited harassment or discrimination, threatening, intimidating, or violent behavior, violation of policies, rules, and/or standards of conduct, or violation of law. Criminal investigations. Criminal investigations involve prosecution under criminal laws. In criminal investigations, an organization should ensure that law enforcement is involved in the investigation as early as possible to ensure that the crime can be properly documented, investigated, and prosecuted. Civil investigations. Civil investigation occurs when one organization or party suspects another organization of civil wrongdoing. For example, if an organization suspects that another organization violated a copyright, a civil suit could be filed. In a civil case, the organization should ensure that all evidence rules are followed and that legal representation is involved as part of the investigation. Regulatory investigations. Regulatory investigations determining whether an organization is compliant with a given regulation. Regulation is a legal requirement set by a government body, such as the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, or Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, against an organization suspected of a violation. Industry standards. Standards provide criteria within an industry relating to the standard functioning and carrying out of operations. ISO/IEC 27043:2015 recommends procedural steps for conducting security incident investigations. ISO/IEC 27037:2012 provides guidelines for handling digital evidence. This is covered through a four-step process of identification, collection, acquisition, and preservation. NIST SP 800-86, Guide to Integrating Forensic Techniques into Incident Response. NIST SP 800-101 Revision 1, Guidelines on Mobile Device Forensics. The Scientific Working Group on Digital Evidence, SWGDE, is a consortium based on improving the quality and consistency of digital forensics. PCI Forensic Investigator, PFI, Program Guide provides specific guidance on how forensic investigators must respond to a security incident involving payment card data. Appendix A defines the steps and processes to perform the investigation. Appendix B specifies the requirements for properly handling and preserving the evidence.
Security operations logging and monitoring. Security log is used to track security-related information on a computer system. For examples: Windows security log, firewall security log. Security logs provide little to no value if they are not monitored. Log monitoring is reviewing recorded log entries for anomalous, abnormal, or suspicious events. Logging and monitoring activities are intrusion detection and prevention, security information and event management, SIEM, continuous monitoring and egress monitoring. An event is any observable occurrence in a system or network. Successful and unsuccessful attempts to log into a system. Successful and unsuccessful attempts to access data in a specific file or drive. Successful and unsuccessful attempts to change or turn off a system process or service. Successful and unsuccessful attempts to change or turn off a security tool. Successful and unsuccessful attempts to make system configuration changes. Successful and unsuccessful attempts to copy sensitive files. Uses of elevated privileged accounts. Transactions executed in sensitive applications. For example, related to security, containing financial or privacy data, or intellectual property. Event logs identify who caused what event to occur at what time. Event log need to consider a user IDs, time and date of the event in a standardized format, device identifier or hostname, location of device, if available, names of system processes used, or files accessed, network addresses and protocols used, name of rule or policy which triggered the event log.
Intrusion detection and prevention. Intrusion detection and intrusion prevention are two separate but essential concepts. An intrusion is a violation of security policy. Intrusion detection is the process of monitoring the events occurring in a computer system or network. Intrusion Detection System, IDS, is software that automates the intrusion detection process. Intrusion Prevention System, IPS, is software that has all the capabilities of an intrusion detection system and can also attempt to stop possible incidents. Intrusion detection and prevention types are: network-based intrusion detection, host-based intrusion detection, wireless intrusion detection. Network-based intrusion detection monitors network traffic and identify suspicious activity. Host-based intrusion detection monitors single host for suspicious activity. Wireless intrusion detection monitors wireless network traffic and identify suspicious activity. NIST Special Publication, 800-94 Guide to Intrusion Detection and Prevention Systems, IDPS. External threats are attempts to gain access from outside the company's network. To address external threats, intrusion detection and prevention identify and report suspicious activity. To address internal threats, intrusion detection and prevention must deter authorized users from violating internal policies. Create separate accounts for administrators of the intrusion detection and prevention, and give each user the minimum permissions necessary to perform their duties. Harden and secure the components that make up intrusion detection and prevention. Use firewall and router to restrict traffic to intrusion detection and prevention. Intrusion detection and prevention can help mitigate the insider threat by watching the watchers. Use dynamic reconfiguration, such as adding a rule to block or redirect a specific IP address that is attacking the network at that moment. In cloud-based environments, an intrusion detection and prevention may be complicated because of the separate ownership of data, cloud customer, and hardware, cloud provider. Security Information and Event Management. Security Information Management, SIEM, is the process of collecting, monitoring and analyzing security-related data from automatically generated computer logs. Security Event Management, SEM, is the process of centralizing computer log data from multiple sources, systems, endpoints, applications, and services, to improve detection of events and managing events through a formalized incident response process. The term SIEM was coined in 2005 by Amrit Williams and Mark Nicolette of Gartner as an acronym for Security Information and Event Management. Security Information and Event Management, SIEM, is a software products and services combine Security Information Management, SIM, and Security Event Management, SEM. Functions of a SIEM software tool are: collecting, analyzing, and presenting security-related data. Real-time analysis of security alerts. Logging security data and generating reports. Identity and access management. Log auditing and review. Incident response and security operations. Collecting, analyzing, and presenting security-related data. Real-time analysis of security alerts. Logging security data and generating reports. Identity and access management. Log auditing and review. Incident response and security operations. Security information and event management, adding additional context to the logs and events captured by other monitoring tools and by performing additional analysis and refinement of data. Continuous monitoring. Information security continuous monitoring, ISCM, is defined as maintaining ongoing awareness of information security, vulnerabilities, and threats to support organizational risk management decisions. Define an ISCM strategy. Establish an ISCM program. Implement an ISCM program. Analyze data and report findings. Respond to findings, and review and update the ISCM strategy and program. Define an information security continuous monitoring, ISCM, strategy based on risk tolerance that maintains clear visibility into assets, awareness of vulnerabilities, up-to-date threat information, and mission business impacts. Establish an information security continuous monitoring, ISCM, program determining metrics, status monitoring frequencies, control assessment frequencies, and an ISCM technical architecture. Implement information security continuous monitoring, ISCM, program and collect the security-related information required for metrics, assessments, and reporting. Automate collection, analysis, and reporting of data where possible. Analyze the data collected and report findings, determining the appropriate response. It may be necessary to collect additional information to clarify or supplement existing monitoring data. Respond to findings with technical, management, and operational mitigating activities or acceptance, transference sharing, or avoidance rejection. Review and update the monitoring program, adjusting the ISCM strategy and maturing measurement capabilities to increase visibility into assets and awareness of vulnerabilities, further enable data-driven control of the security of an organization's information infrastructure, and increase organizational resilience. Egress monitoring. Ingress is defined as the act of entering. Ingress traffic is the data originating outside and proceeds toward a destination inside of the network. Ingress monitoring provides data protection and visibility into inbound communication. Ingress monitoring provides insight into business, network, and security threats. Ingress monitoring allows for aggregation and ease of shipping information to other tools. Ingress monitoring enhances analysis and performance monitoring tools. Ingress monitoring improves the reliability and security of network communications. Egress is defined as the action of going or coming out. Egress traffic is data originating within the local network that is transmitted to a station outside the network. Egress traffics are email, FTP, portable media, removal of hardware, posted to public-facing website, printed, image capture, securely provisioning resources. In telecommunication, provisioning involves the process of preparing and equipping a network to allow it to provide new services to its users. Provisioning is the set of all activities required to provide one or more new information services to a user or group of users. Securely provision resources addresses asset inventory, asset management, and configuration management. Asset inventory is the way an organization lists and provides details of the assets it owns. Asset inventory are all physical and virtual assets, which includes hardware, software, firmware, and more. IT asset is any financially valuable component that can contribute to the delivery of an IT product or service. The purpose of the IT asset management practice is to plan and manage the full life cycle of all IT assets. IT asset management practice help the organization to maximize value. IT asset management practice help the organization to control costs. IT asset management practice help the organization to manage risks. IT asset management practice help the organization to support decision-making about purchase, reuse, and retirement of assets. IT asset management practice help the organization to meet regulatory and contractual requirements. Configuration item is a service asset that needs to be managed in order to deliver an IT service. Configuration management system holds all the information about configuration item within the designated scope. Understand and apply foundational security operations concepts. The term need to know used by government and other organizations describes the restriction of data which is considered very sensitive. The principle of least privilege states that persons should have the capability to perform only the tasks that are required to perform their primary jobs, and no more. Separation of duties and responsibilities ensures that no single individual has complete authority and control of a critical system or process. Privileged account management defined as managing and auditing account and data access by privileged users. A privileged user is someone who has administrative access to critical systems. For example, anyone who can set up and delete user accounts and roles on your Oracle database is a privileged user. Job rotation is a technique used by employers to rotate their employees' assigned jobs throughout their employment. ISO 27002 defines information lifecycle with 5 phases: creation, processing, storage, transmission, and deletion destruction. Service Level Agreement. Service Level Agreement, SLA, is an written agreement between an IT service provider and a customer that identifies both services required and the expected level of service. Service Level Agreement, SLA, will have targets and responsibilities of both parties. Service Level Agreement, SLA, will have the utility of the service. Service Level Agreement will have the warranty of the service. Service Level Agreement must be simply written and easy to understand and use for all parties. Apply resource protection techniques. Apply resource protection techniques covers media management, hardware management, and software management. Media management are used to manage information classification and physical media. In ISO 27002 prevent unauthorized disclosure, modification, removal, or destruction of information stored on media. Marking is how an organization identifies sensitive information, whether electronic or hard copy. For example, a marking might read privileged and confidential. Handling is policies and procedures of an organization provide rules for the handling of information at the asset. Physical protection of the media, such as locked cabinets and secured vehicles. Logical protection of information on media, such as encryption. Organization must have procedures and requirements specifying how sensitive information must be stored and backed up. Organizations that want to retain information longer than required by law should firmly establish why such information should be kept. Organization must have procedures how to destroy sensitive information that has been previously retained, regardless of whether data is in hard copy or saved as an electronic file. Organizations use databases and inventory applications to perform inventories and track hardware assets. Software licensing. Software license is a document that provides legally binding guidelines for the use and distribution of software. Conduct incident management. Incident is an unplanned interruption to a service or reduction in the quality of a service. The purpose of the incident management is to minimize the negative impact of incidents by restoring normal service operation as quickly as possible. 7 phases in the incident management process are: detect the incident, respond to the incident, mitigate the effects of the incident, report the incident, recover from the incident, remediate all components affected by the incident, review the incident and document findings as lessons learned. Detection is the phase in which events are analyzed in order to determine whether these events might comprise a security incident. Response phase involves containing the incident and quarantining the affected assets to reduce the potential impact by preventing other assets from being affected. The mitigation phase limiting the scope of what the attack might do to the organization's assets. Reporting phase is the act to routinely inform the technical teams and the management teams about the latest findings regarding the incident. Recovery phase involves carefully restoring the system or systems to operational status. For example, for a compromised computer, you remage it or restore it from a backup. For a broken window, you replace it. Remediation phase taking additional steps to reduce the chances of the same or a similar attack being successful. Lessons learned phase review each incident to discover what could be learned from it. Operate and maintain detective and preventative measures. Firewall in a building is a barrier to prevent fire. Firewall is used to prevent unauthorized data flow from one area of the network to another. Firewall is designed to permit approved traffic to transit between two environments. Data coming into and out of the private network must pass through the firewall. Firewall examines and inspects each packet and blocks those that do not match specified security criteria. An intrusion is a violation of security policy. An intrusion detection system, IDS, is a system responsible for detecting unauthorized access or attacks against systems and networks. An intrusion detection system, IDS, can be a standalone device or exist in the functionality within a firewall. An intrusion detection system, IDS, is to monitor network traffic and/or compare file hashes. If something is suspicious, then intrusion detection system will alert, but an intrusion detection system traditionally will not actively act to prevent the threat. Intrusion detection system doesn't stop intruders, but intrusion prevention system stop intruders. An intrusion prevention system, IPS, is a system responsible for preventing attacks. When an attack begins, an IPS takes actions to prevent and contain the attack. Whitelisting is the principle of denying everything except that which is expressly permitted. Blacklisting is the principle of allowing everything except that which is expressly denied. Third-party security services provides a third party that specializes in security, have a highly trained staff that is dealing with incidents daily and will be more adept at recognizing, containing, and resolving security problems. Sandboxing is a software virtualization technique that allows applications and processes to run in an isolated virtual environment. Honeypots are individual computers or networks created as a trap for intruders. HoneyNet is 2 or more networked honeypots used together to simulate a network. Software developed to cause harm to a system is known as malware. Anti-malware are antivirus, anti-spam software, or code that is designed to detect and deactivate malicious software, including viruses, worms, and Trojan horses. Implement and support patch and vulnerability management. Patch is any update in software vendor to fix security issues or other non-security related bugs. Patch management is the process for identifying, acquiring, installing, and verifying patches for products and systems. The patch management life cycle steps are: patch prioritization and scheduling, patch testing, patch installation and patch assessment and audit. Determine the priority of the patches and schedule the patches for deployment. Test the patches prior to deployment to ensure that they work properly and do not cause system or security issues. Install the patches in the live environment. After patches are deployed, ensure that the patches work properly. Vulnerability is a weakness which can be exploited by an attack to gain unauthorized access to system. Vulnerability management identifies, classifies, remediates, and mitigates vulnerabilities in systems and applications. Day 0 is the day when a new vulnerability is discovered by a software vendor. From that moment, of 0-day detection, the clock is ticking for the software vendor to produce a patch as quickly as possible. 0-day vulnerability is a software security flaw that is known to the software vendor but doesn't have a patch in place to fix the flaw. It has the potential to be exploited by cybercriminals. 0-day exploit is a cyber attack that occurs on the same day a weakness is discovered in software. At that point, it's exploited before a fix becomes available from its creator. Understand and participate in change management processes. Change is the addition, modification, or removal of anything that could have a direct or indirect effect on services. Purpose of the change management process is to control the life cycle of all changes, enabling beneficial changes to be made with minimum disruption to IT services. The person or group who authorizes a change is known as a change authority. Change types are standard, normal and emergency. Standard changes are pre-authorized and implement without additional authorization. For example, OS upgrade, deploying patch, setting up a user account. Normal changes are authorization-based and low risk. Emergency changes are changes that must be implemented as soon as possible, for example, to resolve an incident or implement a security patch. Configuration item is any component that needs to be managed in order to deliver an IT service. Configuration management is to ensure that accurate and reliable information about the configuration of services, and the configuration item that support them, is available when and where it is needed. Implement recovery strategies. Recovery strategy is a method chosen by an organization to restore operations to normal. Recovery strategies types are: backup storage strategies, recovery site strategies, multiple processing sites, system resilience, high availability, quality of service, QoS, and fault tolerance. Simple backup storage strategies are: make copies of your data regularly, automate the backup making process, save backup copies on different mediums, and store your backups in remote locations. A disaster recovery site is a physical location separate from a company's primary headquarters. A hot site defined as a backup site, which is up and running continuously. A warm site is another backup site, is not as equipped as a hot site. Warm site is configured with power, phone, network etc. Cold site contain even fewer facilities than a warm site. Cold site will take more time than a warm site or hot site to switch operation, but it is the cheapest option. In multiple processing sites, many large organizations operate multiple data centers for critical systems with real-time replication and load balancing between the various sites. Resilience is the ability to recover quickly. In system resilience, if a disk drive fails, another spare disk drive quickly and seamlessly is added to the storage pool. Availability ensuring that authorized parties are able to access the information when needed. High availability is about having multiple redundant systems that enable zero downtime or degradation for a single failure. Quality of service, QoS, is a technology that enables specified services to receive a higher quality of service than other specified services. Fault tolerance is the ability of a system to suffer a fault but continue to operate. Implement disaster recovery processes. Disaster is any event that can cause a significant disruption in operational or computer processing capabilities for a period of time, which affects the operations of the business. Disaster recovery process ensures a company can restore its operations after an interruption. Disaster recovery process are response, personnel, communications, assessment, restoration, and training and awareness. Response consists of actions taken when disaster occurred in an effort to save lives, property, and the environment. Personnel health and human safety are the most important concerns. Communication during disaster recovery is important to ensure that the organization recovers in a timely manner. In the assessment phase, look at the specific technologies and services to find out details of the disaster. Restoration process restoring the primary systems and facilities to normal operation. Personnel at all levels need to be given the proper training on the disaster recovery process. Regular users just need to be given awareness training so that they understand the complexity of the process. Test disaster recovery plans. Disaster Recovery Plan, DRP, is a documented process or set of procedures to execute an organization's disaster recovery processes and recover and protect a business IT infrastructure in the event of a disaster. A test is a unique type of exercise which incorporates an expectation of a pass-fail component within the goal or objectives of the exercise being planned. Purpose of a test is to find any problems, weaknesses, or faults in the plans. Disaster Recovery Plan, DRP, tests are: read-through tabletop, walk-through, simulation, parallel end, full interruption. Read-through tabletop testing is a simple read-through of the plan. Walk-through testing builds on the concept of the tabletop read-through activities at actual locations where response actions will be performed. Simulation is a simulated disaster in which teams must go through their documented recovery plans. In a simulation test, disaster recovery personnel practice the disaster recovery plan, DRP, in a role-playing scenario. In a simulation, recovery team doesn't actually perform any recovery or alternate processing. Parallel test is performing all the steps of a real recovery on a separate network except real, live environment. Full interruption test is designed to test the plan in a live scenario. Participate in business continuity planning and exercises. Security professionals ensuring that the security of physical facilities, systems, and data is maintained during a crisis. Increasing physical security protection to prevent theft. Compensating controls to address missing separation of duties. Ensuring the safety of personnel. Business continuity, BC, planning and exercises steps are: plan for an unexpected scenario. Review your technologies. Build the communication plan and coordinate with external entities. Perform a business impact analysis, BIA, for technologies. Identify a budget and figure out which business processes are mission critical. Set the recovery time objective and recovery point objective. Develop a technology plan, review vendor support contracts, and create or review disaster recovery plans. Finalize who needs to be contacted, figure out primary and alternative contact methods, and ensure that everybody can work, possibly from a backup location. Communicate with external units such as the police department, government agencies, partner companies, and the community. Implement and manage physical security. Physical security is the protection of people, data, equipment, systems, facilities, and company assets. Physical security controls are perimeter security controls and internal security controls. Perimeter is the external facility surrounding buildings or other areas. Perimeter security controls are man-traps, gates, fences, and turnstiles are used outside of the facility. Man-traps are small rooms that prevent individuals from tailgating. Gates are entry and exit points through a fence. Fences distinguish clear boundaries between protected and public areas. Turnstiles are a type of gate that allows only one person to enter. Internal security controls deal with work area separation and personnel badging. Address personnel safety and security concerns. Human resources are the most important assets in the organization. In a disaster, personnel safety is the first concern. Personnel safety and security concerns are travel, emergency management, employee duress, and security training and awareness. Travel. When an employee has to travel for work, the organization has an obligation to ensure their safety. For example, the U.S. Department of State publishes travel advisories on its website for virtually any destination. Level 1, exercise normal precautions. Level 2, exercise increased caution. Level 3, reconsider travel. Level 4, do not travel. Level 1, exercise normal precautions is the lowest advisory level for safety and security risk. Level 2, exercise increased caution should be aware of heightened risks to safety and security. Level 3, reconsider travel should be avoid travel due to serious risks to safety and security. Level 4, do not travel is the highest advisory level due to greater likelihood of life-threatening risks. Emergency management. Organizations should have specific emergency management policies and procedures in place. A common tool for ensuring the safety of personnel during emergencies is the Occupant Emergency Plan, OEP. An Occupant Emergency Plan, OEP, provides coordinated procedures for minimizing loss of life or injury and protecting property damage in response to a physical threat. Duress. Duress is the use of threats or violence against someone in order to force them to do something they don't want to do or otherwise wouldn't do. Security training and awareness. Personnel should receive security training and awareness regularly.